Welcome to Talking Back. I'm your host, Victoria Opperman, and today we have on private investigator, radio show host of the Opperman Report, Ed Opperman. Hey, Ed Opperman.
Yeah.
You there?
Oh, yeah, I think I lost you for a second.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah, I'm here. What can I do for you? How are you?
I just did this very awkward introduction for you where I said Ed Opperman, and it was very awkward. If you don't know, Ed Opperman's my dad, so...
Oh. Well, you know what? There hasn't been a DNA test.
Yeah, we're not sure yet.
To prove that officially. If Maury is out there, I would love to get this tested here, see if I can get out of this craziness I've got involved with this. Okay.
Craziness.
What is this misery I'm dealing with?
Okay, so, I guess, if you don't know who my dad is, he's a host of a huge radio show. How do you not know who he is?
Yes.
The Opera Report. And I'm his daughter, just writing on coattails here. So basically, I used to, before we get into the interview real quick, I just want to say this, because we had to record this, this is our second time recording this, and this is something I forgot to mention last time. So, used to have a radio show on CJ Mars, Wolf Spirit, and Chicken and Wake Radio, and that was called Teen Truth, and it's been a while. It's been a long time. And I just, I thought that since, everything that happened with those other stations, I thought it would just be better to switch to more of a podcast where I'm in control of when, I upload and when I record and how it's recording, because I know, I think it's an issue with all radio, and, you can talk about this too, Dad, but I think there's definitely issues with recording with someone else,
Yeah. Now that we're set up to record, we have our studio all set up thanks to Ann Francis and Christoph Moses and our team over here. That we're way much more better off. That we can record ourselves. We have our own mic, our own mixer. We have our own Spreaker channel. With several. Yeah. So now much better situation.
Much better. And I just feel like it's definitely a lot of drama. And it's not stuff that either I want to deal with or my dad here wants to deal with. So, for now, we're going to be on Spreaker, SoundCloud, and YouTube. You can just search Talking Back. And you can also go to our new blog called talkingbacklive.blogspot.com. So, I just spent 3 minutes blabbering. So, Dad, for people who don't know, can you explain how you started the Opera Report, what the Opera Report is, just the basics.
Sure. Well, okay. I'm a private investigator and a digital forensic investigator. I got involved in a lot of really high-profile cases in the news, 24-hour news stories, like the Tiger Woods case and the Charlie Sheen case, and a case involving Ashton Kutcher. A lot of big celebrity cases. I was involved in a congressional investigation and a congressional hearing. So what happened was, I suddenly, most of my life I've kept a pretty private life. But when all this started coming at me, I got hit with all these paparazzi and these media contacting me for information and interviews and kind of stalking us, Oh. And, so what we did was, so then I started doing interviews, reluctantly at first. Yeah, and when I wanted to do these interviews, what happened is I would want to talk about things that I know about. I know about a lot of stuff, from my years as a private investigator and my years in life. Yeah. Even before I was a PI, I was involved in politics in New York. I met a lot of people, a lot of stuff. I met Mark David Chapman, the guy who killed John Lennon. So I was involved in protests and activism in the 70s. So, I've had a life. And so when I was doing these interviews, I wanted to talk about stuff, but they don't give you a lot of time. So my plan was then, let me do a little radio show. I get all these stories out there. And then it'll be archived on YouTube, or we'll archive them someplace. I thought they'd be archived on a radio station. Mm-hmm. So I started doing a little radio show. And what happened was I found out that to talk about the subjects that I wanted to talk about and get information out there, one problem I had was I couldn't get the guests that I wanted to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they didn't want to come on.
We all know we have issues with that.
Yeah, we had a little problem today. Vic had to fill in Vic's diva guest.
You didn't really have to fill in. We were gonna plan to do this anyways.
Yeah.
But we had a second episode planned. I'm calling this episode number 1. But
Okay.
we had a second episode planned with an unnamed person in an unnamed organization who let's just say wasn't, I feel like, and this is something I do want to mention, and this is cutting into our interview time, so I'm so sorry.
That's
but
okay.
I feel like this is, for now it's going to be a 30-minute show, and this is something where I want it to be a natural conversation with people that I'm interested in and people that I feel like have something to say, And I definitely don't want to end up in a situation where there's times where, my dad feels censored in some parts of radio, which we can talk about if you'd like. And I definitely don't want to end up in that hole where I'm, getting force-fed questions, or it's not like an environment where, it's not a natural interview.
Okay, let me explain what's going on. Victoria was kind enough. No, Vic, you're being way too kind here. We're not going to mention any names, but I'll tell people exactly what happened. Is that you were kind enough to invite somebody on your show at a time when your show was on 3 stations, and it was a high demand to get on your show.
Not really, but okay.
And you know what I'm saying. That was valuable time.
Of course, yeah.
And you invited this woman on who's a director of this local town organization in town here. Mm-hmm. That it's an advocacy group for children. And she never got back to us. And it was kind of fine, but that happens. You try to book guests and they don't get on. So, but at the last second,
I do have to say too, right?
Yeah.
That I did email her during vacation time.
No,
I
okay.
do understand her not getting back as fast as possible.
Everything I saw, in this whole situation is totally normal in trying to book a guest.
No, yeah.
But what happened was, okay, now this guest said, okay, fine, she has an event she wants to promote, and she wants to come on your show. Okay, fine, which is great, too. We love to promote events. We love to help kids. We love to help...
I think one thing that we definitely are is we're definitely not the type of people who are like, don't promote your stuff.
Right.
Because I'm all for promoting. Like, I feel like... And I know my show isn't going to help you here, but we're definitely going to mention your membership, stuff.
The show does help, because especially if it's up on YouTube and stuff like that, because people search for these search terms and stuff like that. They find the show.
Yeah.
So the thing is, okay, so Vic had this guest booked, and at the very last second, she starts making these diva demands about wanting questions in advance and credentials and all kinds of stuff like that. So go ahead, fine. Thank you very much. Go on out on your own and do your own show there, lady.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely wanted to make it a statement, especially after this happened, that I'm, especially since this is a new, I guess, era or whatever in radio from my sense. I'm not gonna cater to anyone, This isn't a show where I'm gonna let, people stomp all over me.
Yeah, right. This is a no diva zone.
Yeah, I'm the only diva that's allowed to be here.
There you go.
Yeah, but let's get back on topic here. So, we asked this before on the last one. I'm sorry, I'm going to be very repetitive here because I feel like we had a good show last time. Yeah. But what I do really like about your show is that you definitely do pick guests cater to your stories,
Right.
So, is that something that happened naturally, or is that something where you're like, hey, I just happen to have the same ideas as this person or know the same people? Because it seems like during some of your interviews, you know the same people. You kind of have that, maybe they're from New York or something, or,
Right, I know exactly what you're talking about. And when I first decided to do the show, there were certain topics and guests that I wanted to have on. And the first thing I found out, and I wanted to get them on record, because I knew they weren't on record anyway, stuff I knew about, the people I knew. And it wasn't on record anywhere. So I wanted to get this down. Now, what happened, the first obstacle I faced was, there's a lot of people I wanted to get on didn't want to go on the radio. They didn't want to do interviews. I didn't even predict that.
No. You thought that once you gave gave out the invitation to come on your show.
No, not just my show. I just thought that once they had the opportunity to go on record with this kind of stuff, they'd welcome it. Yeah. So some people did, and some people came out of retirement, like Daniel Hopsicker, who was part of the Iran-Contra, and he lived with Barry Seal's widow. This guy, he came out of retirement to come on my show. Thank God for that. Great guy, great guest, great information. But the guest I wanted at first, I couldn't get him. So what I decided to do was to pick up topics, historically iconic topics, like the People's Temple suicide cult in Guyana, O.J. Simpson case, the David Berkowitz Son of Sam case, all these kind of cases here, the West Memphis 3 case, and pick up these topics, and then find guests that were capable of talking about it, and do a show about it. And then I could share the information that I had as well, and the research that I've done. So, and that's worked out great. And we've hit this niche where we do true crime, we do conspiracy theory, and social justice, and economic justice, and no one else is doing it. And I might want to point out, too, and we've really hit a niche, man. People love it. Thank God for that. But also, too, I just want to point out that we face obstacles in doing this show.
Definitely.
Because,
Ooh, hello, random noise.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I hear you great, yeah.
Okay, so I think since you were talking about obstacles, right?
I was talking until I was interrupted, but go ahead.
Oh, fine. Nice segues. Don't we love segues? Something I did want to talk to you about is with your West Memphis 3, you've done 3 or 4 shows about them, am I correct?
Yeah, about 4.
Okay, so they're definitely a big group of supporters. These men or boys or teenagers or whatever have this, fan satanic cult group, that's for them. And I definitely think, you have a great show, and, we usually don't get that much criticism, in YouTube comments or something like that. But this is, definitely a group that has, targeted and kind of, I wouldn't say, like cyber bullied you in a way, into maybe believing what they believe or insulting the show or insulting your character and stuff like that. I've definitely, I know we've kind of sat here sometimes and like read through comments of them, laughing or how stupid they sound. But has that kind of, having these groups attack you on your opinions or you exposing the truth to their stories, has that affected maybe how, you picked out a guest or you ditched a show idea because you didn't want to get, attacked?
No. Let me tell you something. Okay, with the West Memphis story, let's get into that.
Okay.
And these 3 men, okay, they were men when they killed these little 8-year-old boys.
Should I start hashtagging this with West Memphis 3?
Yeah. And these men were part of a satanic belief and a satanic cult type situation where they killed these 3 little boys. Now, they got these supporters who think they're innocent. Some of them are gullible. They saw some HBO documentaries and they think that these kids are innocent. But the large majority of them, and then the people in charge of this support group and this awareness group, which has raised millions and millions and millions of dollars, over $20 million that we know about. The head of these groups know they're guilty. The head of these groups are just as satanic as killers are. Okay, and not only have we been cyberbullied and stuff like that, but Vic, you have to understand that when you were a little kid, am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay, when you were a little kid, there was one time when you were an infant, like 6 months old.
Oh yeah, I remember the story.
Right, and I placed an ad online with my email address saying, hey, we need a babysitter over here to help out with the kid. I remember the ad. I said, I just need to make a sandwich and take a shower and someone to watch my kid, while I'm eating a sandwich and taking a shower.
And I can say, right, that you haven't really, because I've seen a pattern, and this is a totally different topic here, but I'm just going to touch on it for seconds. You haven't really placed me with babysitters. This is a very, it's not a normal thing for him to be, putting that out or something, being like, babysitters,
Yeah, right now, yeah. This was a very limited, household help that we needed.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, let's find somebody to help us here in the house. So these West Memphis 3 stalkers, these Satanists, these cult members, found my email address. They did a search on my email address, and they found this ad